coming at you.
Close out the window. I don't even want to think about it while we do this.
How's everybody doing? This is Season 2, Episode 24 of The Weekly Ward. I'm Dan Ward, your host as always. Joining me, my partner in crime, Mr. Daddy. Hello, puppy. So we're going to give you a quick rundown of what's going to happen today. We're going to be going over Display of Dominance. As you can see, our little bar ticker on the left side, which will be going over the brothers, the Peach Garden Oath.
Powerful daddies.
They are powerful.
Winners of Grand Prix Cleveland.
And we'll be getting into
defended
that.
the land better than LeBron ever could.
Woo!
As Cedric said so classily in a tweet.
I thought that was great, and then you told me Cedric said it, and then I was like, oh, okay, you just copy and paste it.
No, I'm a LeBron fan. I would not knock LeBron, and Cedric's allowed to knock LeBron because he's LeBron's biggest fan.
Yeah, he is LeBron's biggest supporter. Also, we're going to be going over the Invitational, kind of talking about new standard, maybe talking about some things that you should be prepared for Modern, and also other things that are going on that weekend, aka this weekend. We got
lots of stuff going on in life. We got Cleveland, the Invi, spoilers.
Yeah, final hour. This is going to be the final episode. We talk about Hour of
We have
Devastation.
A conversation about how American Airlines lost my luggage.
Yeah, we'll get that somewhere in there. And before we get going, we just want to give the thank you to Kerwin's Game Store for being our sponsor.
Yeah.
They let us do this all the time.
We're renovating right now, so if you tried to come in, it probably wouldn't work out that great for you.
In fact,
so don't do that.
You wouldn't be able to.
But the store's going to be open in about a week, right?
Yeah.
Reopen, all sorts of new layout. It's going to be great. We're all really happy about it. We've all been working pretty hard on some strange, renovation type things, building stuff and doing grunt work and carrying stuff.
Doing everything that needs to be done to get the business to where it needs to be for an opening. But meanwhile, if you want to check out our website, www.kerwinsgamestore.com, where we are the best place in gaming and sleeves, as Andre.
Best place in sleeves. I got a brief anecdote for people to get a little bit of perspective regarding the renovation process.
Okay.
One of our coworkers he's an avid Magic player, but he's also short and bald.
Okay.
So there were these
I got a funny segue before we get into
big boxes filled with these metal things that we were using to build new shelves or whatever. I don't know exactly what they're called. I think they're called gondola or something like that.
Yeah, gondolas.
Whatever. But we were carrying them all in, and this gentleman
Was EJ balding?
carried them on the top of his head. So I was behind him carrying a thing, struggling because I'm not very strong. And then I go there and I go to put down this big box, and the box that's put down just ahead of me has this little mark on it. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. Maybe there's someone spilled something on the box, whatever, no big deal. And then the next one that he puts down in front of me has the mark on it too. And I realize what's happening. He's carrying them on top of his head, so every box that he carries has a bald sweat stain on it. It was just really funny.
Oh.
I was like, yo, your head is staining the boxes. Come on, stop doing that. It was really funny.
All right, well...
And Ed is not balding. No, Ed has lots of hair.
Oh, it's Ed. I thought that was EJ for a second. And I was like, no, EJ's not balding either. At least I don't think so.
No, this was John Abdelkareem.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely if you haven't taken a peek at our website, definitely do that. We have everything you need from sleeves, cards for all card games and role-playing games as well as miniatures. And then we are the latest and greatest for content. We're putting stuff out. We always put up the weekly ward the following day after. And we got everything going from Deck of the Week to talk about Vintage Super League and our latest article by the Falcon, giving us a little New York state of mind, or standard state of mind, if you will, for this particular one.
Fidget spinner.
And Hour Devastation booster box giveaway.
Look at this. Look at how large you are.
I'm very large.
Look at this great
LeBron
thumbnail
is balding.
here.
That's great. You like this one? This is great. All right, so...
You know what? Let me just say before we start. Nicol Bolas is overrated. I don't even think he's very cool.
Oh, yeah?
I think he's a goober.
So you're saying overrated in the card or just in the storyline?
He wouldn't even be invited to the party. He's a loser.
We're going to the club with Ulamog and we're leaving Nicol Bolas to watch the kids?
No! We're not leaving him anywhere.
No?
He's just nothing
He's
to
not
do.
over?
He's not in my car. He's not in the back of my pickup truck. Like,
is he like the guy that got pulled over in cops?
I don't know what that means.
Like stumbling? He's just like not good?
No, he's just like a loser.
Yeah, that's
He's like the guy who has like a souped up Camaro and would like go to high school every day but never go to class. Like that guy.
Oh.
He's like an anti-hero in like a John what is his name? No, not John Wayne. What it was saying? Yeah, John Cusack. But what is the dude's name? Who wrote it? 16 Candles. Who is the dude? John Hughes. He's an anti-hero in a John Hughes movie. That is what Nicol Bolas is. He's just a loser. He's a bum with minimal redeeming qualities.
Okay.
Get him off my screen.
Dang. What about these guys?
These guys are great.
All right, let's talk about GP Cleveland. I went there with Nathaniel Barton and Christopher Giuliano, and we had fun. We got our tuchuses kicked. What are you doing?
I was gonna keep my mouth shut until we denounced you two and Nicol Bolas publicly, but I'll just stop.
You weren't in Cleveland. Sad.
Yeah, I had no desire.
Just take a weekend off.
I was supposed to play softball, but it didn't happen, sadly. So, I didn't really want to scramble to go last minute. But 2 weeks, the 15th, 14th, and 15th of July, I'll be playing softball. Tournament.
Cool.
2 tournaments that weekend, so I'm excited.
So,
that is also the same weekend as SCG Cincinnati, which I was contemplating going to, but I'm not going.
Not going anymore.
And my deferral went through successfully, so.
All right, well, let's
to Albuquerque. It's gonna be great.
Sweet. Let's go for the rundown here.
All right, first place, $15,000.
AKA 5K piece, medium.
AKA 5K less than you would get if you won an individual Grand Prix.
Sure.
Which is depressing.
They just count on winning every other one.
Why do they do that? I don't know. We'll figure it out anyway. Whatever. I guess because they have to pay 3 people. But Owen Turtenwald, William Jensen, and Reed Duke, the Peach Garden Oath. Owen tweeted, he said, "Did y'all forget who runs these streets?"
He said it before the tournament.
Before the tournament.
Yeah.
And then they won the tournament, and he quoted it, and he said, "Did y'all forget who ran these streets?"
So do you know?
Great.
Do you know what I think the tweet was at?
What?
Matt Sperling is great and wrote up an article on the top 30 teams going into the tournament.
Sure.
And Peach Garden Oath was not number 1.
Who was?
Madison Crew.
Severa,
Sam Black, and Justin Cohen were number 1. And so I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that Owen tweeted at that because they weren't number 1.
That's great.
Yeah.
Second place, $7,500. Corey Burkhart, Shuhei Nakamura, Martin Juza. Martin Juza, one of the best limited players in the world. Shuhei Nakamura, one of the best limited players in the world. Corey Burkhart, Grixis Control. He's also great, but I've never known him to be very good at limited.
So here's the thing.
Evidently he is, though.
Here's the thing. They're all good players on their own right. I've played against 2 out of the 3. I've not played against Nakamura yet. And I have not played against Yuza in Limited. But, man, they're putting up some numbers. They work together now for, I think this is like a 3rd or 4th team event that I've seen them either top 4 or be in running for top 4 to top 8 the last round. So they're putting up some numbers. All right, next.
I don't think I've played against any of them, sadly. But,
Aww.
you know. Third place, $3,750. 1738. Is this Nathaniel Smith? Is that his name?
Yes.
Brandon Ayers and John Rolfe, right?
Yeah. What's going on, Darth Ninja? Glad that you're in here.
Yeah.
So I know 2 of the 3.
Brandon Ayers has had what, 2 GP top 8s?
Yeah, this might even be his. No, this is his 3rd now.
Yes, but he's had 2 before.
He's had 2, both
standard,
New Yorks.
Both New York standard.
Yeah.
John Rolfe was at like 10-0 or something with Teamer Marvel.
Yeah.
In Omaha, and Nathaniel Smith just locked gold in Vegas.
He did.
He's a powerful wizard himself.
Yeah, very. They're doing good things.
So yeah, congrats to these guys. They did well. And then 4th place, $3,750. And I don't know these guys' first names. Sorry. It's Sellers, Ferber, and Neal. So I don't remember their first names. I did catch them on coverage, but
these guys look great. Look at the facial hair going on.
They just look like the weekend warriors, you know, like
Yeah.
the guys who just like took the time off from work or, don't work weekends, whatever you want to call it, and they just like made the trip. They just look like they cracked open a few cold ones. They're just living life.
Yeah.
They look like good friends. They look really happy.
So I'm loving the beards. I got to tell you a story that happened in GP Cleveland.
You gotta.
All right. So I call for a judge. something happened. The beginning of the round, I asked to use the bathroom, and the judge goes, "Yeah, go ahead." Had a judge, and then walked away. And another judge was there when I returned. Judge leaves, and another judge comes by, and I asked them to get time extension because they didn't put it on the slip. And the judge looks at me and goes, "Do you know who the judge was?" And I go, "He was a heavy-set guy with a beard." And the judge looks at me and goes, "So, any judge in this room?"
Yeah.
And I just thought that was, like, hilarious.
That is
and
hilarious.
I just, like, trying to find the guy.
It'd be great if he just went up to a random judge who fit the description and was like, did you give him an extension? The dude would just be like, "What are you talking about?" It would have been great.
That would have been terrible if he was, like, playing along with that. But yeah, we got the right
You're like,
judge.
"No, he didn't even show up to his match, actually."
That'd be terrible. So, another team limited event. I think there was roughly a little under 400 teams. I think that was kind of due to the Vegas effect, the aftermath. Just a lot of people went out there for that entire week, whether it was a money thing or, everyone can't just take off every weekend, or the fact that it was in, like, Cleveland. They moved it from Columbus, which I know for some people was a deal breaker.
Columbus
got to have that North Market.
Columbus is a great city.
Yeah.
We don't get any more Columbus this year.
I know. I'm kind of sad.
We do get some Cincinnati, though.
We do. I'm thinking
Natty
of those.
daddy.
Natty daddy. So, before we move on, I know the limited decks we're not going to really go into, because especially the team drafting, something
It's
that's
all-
very interesting, but not really
Yeah,
interesting to
but
talk
we're not
about.
going to learn too much from looking at their deck lists.
Yeah, but these
Which
guys,
is
like,
they probably made the right decisions, or a lot of the right decisions in what they had, so it's kind of hard to tell, but
I just like Peach Card and Oath. They're just like insane.
I got a pimple on my head. It hurts.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
That has to do with
It's
this.
right on the. Sorry, it's just right on the lip of my hat, and every time it lays on my hat lays on it. I go.
So take your hat off.
No.
Hey,
That's a fate worse than
thanks
death.
a lot. Appreciate that.
Thank you for the follow.
Yeah, KO 75.
Dabbing on our
there.
famousness.
Oh my goodness, he's dabbing out. So,
Do you think that I kind of dumbed down a little bit? Like, do you think that I was more crazy before I had all my recent monumental, earth-shattering success?
I don't really think anything has been earth-shattering or successful. I think like you're just the same person you were. That's my opinion, for better or for worse. So, that was just weird.
You know, I've been really, really good at Magic for a long time, right?
I don't know why we're talking about you. We should be talking about real great magicians
This is over.
here.
We already did
No,
it. We already
we're
did
not.
the rundown.
We're not done talking about this.
What
You
is
know
it?
you're good. You know that you got this team is insane when other insane people are just saying, "Man, I'm not even on their level."
Well, their ability to like work together, their ability to communicate without actually communicating and like talk and understand each other is just awesome.
It's off the charts.
It's so much better than any other
It's
team.
crazy. Did you want a daddy segment today or something? We're gonna talk about the daddy self-reflection.
No, I don't know, man. We're just
Okay.
living. I just like to. I see. You're always like, "Hey, do you have any topics for the show?" And I'm
All right,
like, "No."
You guys
man.
are getting some insider information.
Yeah. This is behind the scenes look here. Like, nah, I'm sorry, dude. I don't have any topics for the show. I never know. I never have any idea. You just make the show and then you tell me what to do and I'll do it. That's how it goes every week. And
I wish that worked. If that was only the case.
And so I don't generally have topics for the show, but
Is the NWO, I like that.
but that said, I come up with topics minutes before the show, and I say to Dan, I say, "Hey, we should talk about this, this, and this," and he goes, "Where were you like 3 days ago, or last week?" And I'm like, I don't know. I just kind of live this way.
That's a practical insight on actually what happens. And not that that's a bad idea that you come up with things before the show, but there is a time window where we have to prepare
Like,
for it.
I was like, we should do an SCG Invitational preview. Where we should find a preview article and go down all the players and go down who's the favorite, who's the top 5 people most likely to win the tournament, what decks do you think these people are going to play, and like just smash it out. So maybe I'll write that article since we didn't do that.
Yes,
but
there you go.
But yeah, I was going to do that.
For KGS?
No, God no. I want to get paid for it.
All right.
That was great.
Well, it is great because it gives people an insight on actually what happens on the show. So the show isn't just everything that we do, but there's a lot of behind the scenes. And to just make something clear, those individuals and our lovely writers that we have on staff, they all get paid because they turn their stuff in on time.
They deserve all the money that they get paid. I do not deserve to be paid.
If there's anyone in the chat
that is the
thinking that, there's a difference. But let's get into the SCG Invitational.
I have minimal redeeming qualities beyond charisma.
Yeah, well, you said it, I didn't. All right, so we got the Invitational here. We've got some play mats. We've got some classics going on, but
doesn't it look like Kefnet is just like got like a youthful Jacob Ball like under the sprinkler? Like, go back. It's too funny to ignore. It looks like Kefnet's like in his front yard, like watering the plants, and Jacob Ball's like,
it looks like he's like
playing in the wind.
Yeah, he's like trying to hold up the water.
Yeah, he's like taking a little shower. I like it.
Jacob Ball's great, by the way. He's just a great human.
He's great. If we didn't draw every single time we played Magic against each other, I would think he was more great. But that's just really frustrating and happens all the time. But he's still great.
True. These playmats are nice, though.
I think we're both just so glacially slow that we should never be paired against each other.
Glacially slow.
What do we got here?
We got the Invitational. We're going to talk about the event schedule.
Wait, what is that? Let's talk about this first. This is kind of cool because this is unprecedented, right?
So, giving a rundown, we got Thursday for this. For those of you that don't know, there are a bunch of sponsors for this. This is the first of the new Invitationals, which are going to be twice a year. And on Thursday, from 6 to 11, SCG is going to be downtown Roanoke, and they're going to be Cafe and Spirits Restaurant.
FPS Cafe and Spirits welcome all Magic the Gathering fans for a special pre-invitational gathering featuring live music, a special Magic the Gathering themed menu, and more. More plans to join us for a relaxing evening of good food, good friends, and good fun before the big weekend begins.
So
I'm certainly going to go to this. It sounds sweet.
What would you order off this special Magic the Gathering?
I don't know.
Would there be some kind of like name flavor for the foods?
My dessert would be a Jeskai bar, which is certainly like a red, white, and blue ice pop.
A Jeskai bar. I like that. Oh, man. We should have thought of that. That'd have been
what else do we got here? We got hall opens at 10 a.m.
Yep.
Boom, noon. Invitational main event starts.
So, with the Invitational, for those of you that don't know, it is a split format. There will be Modern and Standard going on. And this is a unique tournament because we don't see a lot of these split format tournaments very often. And in conjunction with Standard for this tournament specifically, this is the only tournament that will be this Standard, which is post-ban on the Marvel Standard.
For 4 hours.
Before hours.
So it's a pretty unique tournament, which is like good and bad for them and good and bad for us, right? Like it's good for them because it's just a new format. There hasn't really been a big event with it yet. People are like going to be excited to watch it. But like it's tough because they're not going to get like residual hits as much as they would normally because this format's not going to matter going forward.
Yeah.
So it's not like people are going to be like, oh, this deck won the Invitational. I'm certainly going to play this in like my season's worth of PDQs. No, you can play it for 1 week and then that's it.
Yeah, or you could take some stuff out of this.
Wait, is the pre-release next weekend?
It is.
Wow, then they can play it for 0 weeks.
Yeah.
Pre-releases are stupid.
Why?
I don't know.
You gotta have them.
Don't tickle my fancy anymore. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Sorry? Is that the elitist hat you put on?
I just want to do other things. You know why pre-releases are great? Because it gives me a weekend to not play Magic.
Whoa. Okay.
I used to be like, yo, pre-releases are the best, but they're not.
You're telling me you're not going to drive down to Bearded Dragon or stay here at
No,
KGS?
I'm going to go to the one in Kingston probably because it's going to be... I'm getting a new apartment, this weekend. So I'm going to go to the pre-release because it's literally going to be a block from my apartment. I'm going to walk there. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
But yeah. If I had to get in the car and drive here, I probably wouldn't go.
Dang. Not because of the store, though.
No, the store's fine. But, I don't know. I don't want to drive 40 minutes to go to the pre-release and just,
Says the guy who drove 2+ hours last pre-release.
What, to Bearded?
Yeah.
Yeah. I forget why I did that. It was, 4 Tarmogoyfs for the prize, or they, gave me free entry because I'm famous or something. I don't really remember what it was.
You're famous or something. That should be, on your gravestone. Kevin Jones was famous or something.
And it should just be
epic, right?
A skeleton dabbing, yeah.
And instead of flowers, I'll just light a cigarette and let that, with an ashtray, and then that will be, my flower to you.
And just skeleton dabbing, catch me outside life.
A skeleton dabbing. All right, so
Catch me in the outer realm. How about that?
What I'd like to do is kind of go over roughly real quick here. We're going to use MTGO Goldfish. Thanks again for doing a great job of helping everybody.
Yeah, what an awesome website.
Prepare
so cool.
for any of the big tournaments. So, without having a unique player list and going through, and I don't want to have the snubs of people we don't talk about and people we do talk about. That's kind of one of the reasons why we didn't do that for the show. That would take a little bit of time to figure all that stuff out. I just wanted to kind of go over the main decks and talk about what you think is going to be popular, what's trending, and then we'll get into Modern and kind of talk about some maybe sideboard slots. Modern is a format where we always talk about as being hey, play what you know, be consistent, and then the last 3 or 4 cards in your sideboard, you kind of want to tilt to what's being popular.
We're certainly going to play or talk about the top couple Modern decks and give a little rundown on what ones are good and what ones aren't.
Yeah.
But the interesting things for me, the interesting decisions, I think the tournament will be won and lost in Standard. For the people who are comfortable with Modern, which is a lot of the the premier SCG Tour players.
Okay.
Which I am not anymore.
Okay.
I used to be great. I used to be a ringer, but now I'm not great. But anyway, the masters, the favorites Todd Stevens, Brennan DeCandio, Brad Nelson.
We'll just get the leaderboard out.
Tom Ross, Michael Majors, these people. Jerry's going.
Not Majors anymore.
Those people are great. Oh, Majors is, yeah, that's right.
Apparently, I look like white trash with my hat turned back.
You do. You look like there's a pit bull on each of your arms, and you were just burning garbage in your front yard.
Well, that's kind of what I'm doing. You seen Nahiri here. She's lighting it up.
Yeah. But anyway.
So, yeah, you're talking about a lot of the mainstays of the SCG Tour now.
These people are great. A lot of these people are very good at Modern. Todd Stevens and Brennan DeCandio. Brad Carpenter's a great Modern player. Ben Friedman with his Dredge deck is a favorite for sure.
Okay.
If you give Andrew Jessup Magic cards, he probably wins. So he's basically a favorite in any format.
Yes, Phil. That's what I'm going for. I'm going for that look.
It looks like Woody from White Man Can Jump. That's a great movie. But yeah, so these people, they'll take a deck that they're good with in Modern. Jeff Hoogland's another good example in there, and they'll play what they know, and they'll be good for a
6-2.
Yeah, I was gonna say a 5-3 or a winning record with their Modern deck basically every time. And what's gonna carry them to to a 12-4 or better is gonna be their Standard deck choice.
Sure.
As it can really bomb you out if you get the wrong one. And I'm eager to see what Brad Nelson comes up with, which is part of why I'm going down today, so that I can sneak into his life and just ask him a bunch of questions and see what he tells me.
I'm also going down later today with the crew, little team Socks and Flops.
Yeah.
Down there.
A little bit of dad squad.
All right, so let's hit it with Standard then. We've got out of these decks, I think the top 4, in real life and also online, I think they reflect the actual metagame, which sometimes is different, especially for Modern. We've got Teamer Energy, Mardu Vehicles, Mono Black Zombies, Green Black Energy. You don't have to tell me which you are going to play, but what do you think out of these 4 decks is the reason to play at this tournament, and also why you would want to play this deck?
That stupid Pitbull comment was so funny. Sorry.
You're not, but go ahead.
All right. Yeah, so I think that if I had to play one of the top 4 decks being Mardu, Teamer, Zombies, and Energy.
Sure.
I'd probably play Teamer Energy, sadly. I don't really like that deck. I think it's kind of bad.
Okay.
It's kind of linear.
Why do you think it's bad?
Well, I know it's clearly not bad. It's objectively good, but I just don't like it. I think it's just play this mopey thing and hope it works out each turn. And the mopey things are good. They're fine, but this deck doesn't seem good against Mardu. It really doesn't seem good against Zombies. And it seems medium against Energy. It's probably fine against Black-Green. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's fine versus Black-Green. Okay.
Rogue Refiner and Tireless Tracker are very good against Black-Green. And it has those cards. It also has Glory Bringer.
Glorious shout out.
Which has Flying, which is a great ability. And they have a lot of pushes and minimal grasps. So yeah. I kind of like the deck against Black-Green. But it doesn't seem great against Mardu. If you sometimes you glory their Gideon and it dies.
Yeah.
And life is great. But lists have been cutting Whirl of Virtuosos and they have Harness Lightning to deal with Heart of Kirin, and that's it.
Sure.
It just seems like Heart of Kirin's a huge problem for this deck if they don't have a Harness Lightning. And usually they can like block with Whirl of Virtuoso and Race, but like they're cutting those in favor of like more mana creatures or more planeswalkers or more trackers. All of which are good cards. Like the list with like 4 Channeler Initiate and 4 Servant. I really like that deck. I think it's great. But like they just can't beat a Heart of Kieran.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a weird thing going on where like they can't beat a Heart of Kieran, but on the reverse side too, from the Marduk side, like depending on how many Fatal Push they have, if they're still running all 4, like that's a pretty important card in the matchup as well. Because like dealing with a Long Tusk Cub can be problematic. You know, there's Unlicensed, there's Fatal Push, but if you don't deal with it right away, and then you just allow Teamer Energy to like get to the Glorybringer like you're talking about. And also, Bristling Hydra is a big deal, by the way.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, you're looking at
Strong Sand. That's a spoiler, man.
That is a spoiler.
That means he played that deck to 5-0 in a league.
Yeah.
What is he doing? Didn't you learn? You know what Jeff Hoogland said? Jeff Hoogland's a master. You know what Jeff Hoogland said on Twitter? One of the smartest guys in Magic. You know what he said? He said, 4-0 the league and drop so your deck list doesn't get posted.
Yeah, I saw that.
And he talked about doing that. And I was like, ship me your deck list. And he didn't. But that's funny.
0-4 drop at the Indy. Not happening, Matt to the C. Not happening.
Whirler sucks now that you can't go infinite any given turn. That is a trap statement. If you... Whirler is good because it allows you to push the game back to your crucial turns. Like, Teamer Energy is a mid-range deck. Like, as much as it might want to be like an aggro deck or a tempo deck, it's not really. It's a mid-range red-green deck at the heart. It plays like 4 and 5 mana, 4-power creatures. Which, like, you cannot do if you're at 11 on turn 3. Or whatever. Or, you know, you're at 17, and then crew, and then 7, so 10. Yeah, it's just like Toolcraft into Heart, into Thalia, and you're dead.
Sure.
So...
It's interesting to me to see some of the other decks that are popping up. We've seen Colossus come back. Metalwork Colossus is a deck that I've seen a couple people play at the PTQ.
Let's scroll down a little bit farther. Let's see what some of the diamonds in the rough are in the rest of the stuff.
Here we go. Some Metalwork Colossus.
Oh, this is blue, black, red?
Yeah, we're seeing Herald of Anguish, the card that when the first got spoiled was like, oh my god, this card could be like really good. And then no one kind of figured out exactly what to do with it.
I know who that is, too.
Mouth Breather?
I'm not going to spoil it, but I know who that is. That is a Star City Grinder, too.
There you go. So, yeah, this deck's pretty sweet. We've got a lot of, obviously, artifact synergies. But to me, I don't know. I don't like this. I don't like this style of deck. It's got a weird feel to it.
I don't like this style of deck because I think it's bad.
Yeah.
But, like...
whatever. The numbers being, like, lots of one-ofs, too, like, that just leads me to believe it's inconsistent.
Stupid and mopey. Like, what are you doing? Come on. There's good cards in Magic. Play them.
All right.
You see, the thing about the preface blue, black, red is I get a little excited because I'm a Grixis guy.
Yeah, you're like, is this Grixis?
I jam it. And then I see blue, black, red, and I'm like, what is that? And then I'm like, when you see the heading blue, black, red, you must always check to make sure this deck is playable before you read the list. And part of doing that is making sure that it doesn't involve casting Cathartic Reunion and Stitchwing Scab. Because I did that once, and I thought it was a great idea. And you know what happened? When my deck was good, it was unbeatable, it was disgusting, and it was broken. And when my deck was bad, I did nothing. I literally did nothing the entire game. I went land go, Tormenting Voice, discard Tormenting Voice, Cathartic Reunion, discard 2, Kozilek's Returns, die. And that happened twice. One time my opponent played Kefnet on turn 3, just attacked me 5 times. Or whatever, and I just died.
So, we got a couple decks here at the bottom that are a little brand new to the scene. We've got Mono White. This is using Oketra's Monument to be able to pump out a lot of tokens. We can click on this one, kind of give you a little...
yeah, a friend and I were testing... my buddy Gabe and I were talking about a deck that we're considering playing for this tournament. And we were talking about, you know, some of the matchups and some of the lists last night. And when I woke up this morning, I had a text from him, and it said, we cannot beat the white Oketra's Monument deck ever.
Okay.
Which is a funny text because, like, just the you know, the way that things all came together, the confluence of things, such that it's a problem that there's a 4 Oketra's Monument deck in Standard and we cannot win. And, like, we cannot ever win. But, like, that shouldn't matter because this should just be an unplayable pile of garbage. But I don't think it is. I think it's actually good.
Yeah, the deck's actually interesting. For those of you that haven't seen this yet, Okentra's Monument, putting 1/1 warrior tokens into play whenever you cast a creature spell. Later on in the game with Aviary Mechanic, you can just pay 1 white and keep bouncing itself and pretty much get, like, for every white source you have, that many warrior tokens, which is kind of cool. It lines up well with Westwell, Abby. Thanks a lot. Appreciate the follow.
Yeah, you need two. You said two aviary mechanics, right?
No, it just returns another permanent. Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, you need a second one, which is also broken with Bygone Bishop because then you just start putting in warriors and getting lots of clues, and it gets out of hand quick. Selfless Spirit, just a good card in this deck because it helps protect all your 1/1s, and yeah, I like this deck because it can have like a quick clock, it can grind you out, and it has removal for everything with cast out.
Pro Tour champion Steve Rubin is spamming the chat with like the dancing face guy, like the giant Kool-Aid guy.
He likes mono white.
Is that what is mono white baby? Why is that the name of it?
Baby Driver.
Oh, it's like mono white, comma baby. Like yeah, baby.
Yeah.
I thought the deck was called mono white baby, and I'm like, what does that mean?
What's going on, Steve? So yeah, I think this deck is playable. I like Dust to Dawn in this deck. What do you think about this card? Really good versus Teamer, zombies. Fine versus Green Black too. Yeah, I think it's
especially sweet when all your creatures suck. Like they did like this deck.
What? We got Archangel Avacyn. We got the Bishop. Come on, you and the Bishop go way back. You brought the Bishop home.
Took the Bishop home? Yeah.
Yeah, you brought the Bishop home.
Man, that's sacrilegious. Don't talk about that.
All right, let's talk about another deck that's monocolored.
What is that?
Bounce and Mill.
I guess we don't have to actually.
We can look at that in a sec. This is a deck, though, that I played twice yesterday.
This is the Todd Stevens deck.
Okay, it has Reality Smasher.
No, the Gunslingers is Todd Stevens.
Oh, okay. But because it has Eldrazi, it's got to be him as well.
Well, he's actually streamed this deck like this is literally a Todd Stevens deck. It's fine, whatever. I don't know if it's good or not, but that's where the idea came from.
So you're saying Todd Stevens? This is his deck?
You got to give him credit for this deck.
Well,
if it's good, but I think it's a dumpster fire. But that's just my opinion.
But it's by Todd Stevens.
Yeah, if I played against him, no matter how good my deck is against this deck, he would just crush me because that's how it always works. I play against Todd Stevens, he mulligans to 5 every game and just beats me senseless. It just doesn't matter.
You're just too distracted by the tie?
I don't know, man. It's just rough. Life's just hard for me when I play against Todd Stevens.
This deck's interesting.
I just think about my future and it's just dark.
Playing this deck, it's doing very powerful things once it gets to 4 mana. However, before then, it's kind of just moping around and has these removal spells that just are trying to just like keep the board clean and then resolve the Matter Reshaper or the Garrison.
Did we just get a donation?
No, we got
a host.
Thanks, Darth Engine.
Thank you.
Oh, the hostess with the mostess. Was that like a daddy dancing dab?
I'm just living my life.
Oh, you're going to sing some Zach Brown
No,
band?
I was going to start singing...
Got my toes in the sand.
No, it's living my life in a slow hell.
Kid Rock, Sheryl Crow.
We can close to that, right?
Oh, my God.
Are you a crooner? It's some karaoke?
Oh, my goodness.
You know karaoke's a Japanese word, right?
Yes. Karaoke.
Just making sure.
I don't know a lot, Kevin, but what I do know.
I mean, you were in the military, you were in the Navy, so you probably know a lot of things about foreign places. Have you ever been to Japan?
I've never been to Japan.
Have you been to like anywhere real crazy, like India or China or something like that?
Carmen Sandiego.
We should have a "Where in the World is Dan."
We should. What we should
and it
do
should be like it should just be like
have a map and then show where we've been.
Yeah, a giant emoji of your face, and it's just like a bunch of different U.S. cities with a 2-4 next to all of them.
They have giant emojis of my face. They're the Easter Island pictures.
That's why Easter Island totem or whatever.
Yeah.
Is it Easter?
See, it's okay
is that it with the big statues at Easter Island, right?
Yeah. See, it's cooler when you pick on yourself. All right. So you said dumpster fire. Do you have anything to add on this deck before we move into mill and drill or whatever it was?
I don't know what you're talking about, but mill and drill is a real good deck name. It's a real title. That's a
all
real
right.
title.
So we're gonna throw this one out to whoever. We're going for Bounce and Mill.
Mill.
Bounce and Mill. Saffron Olive. All right. So it's Miller time. This looks like a budget blue deck.
This is just a mill deck.
Yeah, Miller time.
Yo, is this deck good? It might actually be good.
It might be good. Startled Awake.
This is making quite a compelling argument.
Wow, is that in this deck? Yeah, it is. I knew you were doing it. I'm going to have to censor that.
Yo, last week you were like, don't be so lazy and tired when you're on the show. And I was like, fine. And that's what you got.
Yeah, we got an awakened...
I mean, Las Vegas just murdered me.
We got a startled awake daddy.
Las Vegas is just an unreasonable place. Like,
why is it unreasonable?
It's just so much indulgence and, like, absurdity.
Derek says looks like an Ian deck.
I was just like a few nights when I like got home from whatever I was doing in Vegas at like 6 a.m. and I was like, wow, I could have stayed up another like 7 hours.
Oh man,
I don't know, it's just crazy.
All right, we're moving into Modern here. Give a little rundown. Grixis Death Shadow still the main player.
What's going on, man? We were talking about Standard and
we were.
You just abandoned it. We
were done.
We were
you want to go back?
I mean, I certainly don't want to talk about
We talked about every deck. And then we talked about bounce and mill and drill.
I want to talk about...
And then you just started going off on a tangent again. So I was like,
I want to talk about... I want to see if there's one of them. Scroll down here a little bit.
All right.
Scroll down here. Let's find a cool deck.
We just went over like 3.
Oh, this deck is great.
Which one? Teamer Energy?
No.
Yeah.
WUR, that.
If this is just another like blue America deck...
It's a sweet deck. It
is not. It is the same thing. You literally say the deck is sweet, and it just has whatever the best blue, red, and white cards are in it in the format.
How is this deck not good?
This deck has Lightning Bolt, Path of Exile. Like, these cards are great. Like, obviously. So you're saying this deck is good. Yeah, you're saying a deck with Rattle Chains is good.
You know when this deck is bad? This deck is bad against Liliana the Last Hope. There's very few of those in the format right now.
Okay. Agreed. But you're saying this deck is good?
Yeah. It's pretty good against Gideon, too.
Yeah, I don't know if... Can this deck hang with the #1 deck in the format? I would think this is Teamer Energy has a good matchup versus this. They're playing main deck, Harness Lightning, Magma Spray, and Dragon.
They can't kill your creatures. You have Selfless Spirit and Rattle Chains and Spellcrawler. And then... their dragons get bricked really hard by your Avacons because they can rarely Glorybringer plus Harness Lightning in the same turn. So they have to Glorybringer and not attack with it, which is like a poor line, because then they just Avacon, and then they can do any number of things to the Glorybringer, including a Selfless Spirit or whatever. But I don't know, Stasis Snare. I think that this deck is actually good. I think that the mana base is weird and could be bad, but it seems sweet. We played against it on Moto. Derek and I played against it on Moto the other night.
Yeah, that's what Derek was saying.
We crushed it, but...
What were you playing?
Just the worst deck ever. Just Black-Green Constrictor with red.
Okay.
Black-Green, like, Jund Energy aggro. Like the old Ben Stark deck from GP New York.
Okay.
That's what we were playing. I don't know why he owns that and not something good, but this deck is sweet.
All right, so why do you like this deck? Do you think this is a good deck for this weekend? I guess that's where we're going with it.
I mean, so there's 4 decks, right? Zombies, I'd imagine, is not a great matchup for this deck.
Okay. Has a couple helpers in the sideboard.
I think it's got some sprays. I think it could be a good matchup. I think Avacon Flip is something that zombies can't really beat.
Okay.
So if you can Avacon Flip, you're in good shape.
Definitely, and with Selfless Spirit, that's obviously a lot easier.
And keeping a Selfless Spirit alive is easy enough to engineer to get the Avacon Flip. But besides that, I think Zombies is tough if you can't flip Avacon. I think that Mardu is probably close, if not a little rough, as the Heart is really good against you, both offensively and defensively. But you have stuff like Blessed Alliance and Harness Lightning, and just like gagging it with a bunch of flyers or whatever. The Gear Hulks and Glimmers give the deck like a little bit of legs, and like when the format was more powerful, I think that like you really shouldn't be caught dead playing this deck because it's just a little bit weaker than it's a little bit weaker than the other decks. But the format's been neutered a lot, and you don't have like bad things that get pushed like Thalia or whatever in your deck.
Yeah, so. I just noticed that too. This deck is 61 cards. That's pretty hilarious.
It is.
What do you think people do? They just do that because they just want to like stand out? Is that like just
trying to derail my
out?
tournament before it starts?
Yeah.
It's like, let's put a 61 card Jeskai deck. You know who probably did this? I bet like a bunch of people in the Invitational did this. Like I bet a bunch of people, like maybe Metagame Gurus did this. Like they found this deck and they 5-0'd with it, so I would take it and play it, and they knew it was terrible, and they're like trying to sabotage my tournament. Like that's what they did. Jim Davis, I'm calling you out. You probably did this.
Oh man, that's
I don't know.
great.
Censor's a nice card for this deck. Like this deck was always kind of bad in
So
the previous format, but Censor's a big deal.
one thing I want to say before we move on to Modern, and it's something that you've said, I think, pretty much about every deck that we've mentioned so far.
Mm-hmm.
Mardu, you're not sure, or is not the best matchup. The deck is just, it may not be the best deck in Standard, but from my gameplay of playing with it and against it, it is the one deck in Standard that not one deck can say, man, I just smash this deck all the time.
Yep.
It, like, everybody's lists are different.
Collection of the best cards in the format.
Yeah, like I played against people. I played against someone, Sanchez. Shout out Sanchez. He beat me in the PTQ this previous weekend, and there was like different main deck cards. Some people have online. Like I played against main deck Nahiri. I've played against a couple of the cards that are in the 75, but like are super interchangeable, and it makes it very hard to decide whether that player is going to bring those in, take those out, what kind of plan they have going on. And so I think, like, for me, you said it'd be Team Energy. If I was going to play a deck in the top 4 this weekend, like the top 4 decks, I would play Mardu based off the fact that I can customize it for the 8 rounds that I need that deck to be good.
Yep. I hear you. Mardu's a great deck choice.
Chris Paul to the Rockets. Whoa. We got some sports news coming in.
I mean, yeah, this deck is probably not good, but it's cool.
Okay.
It's like...
Are you going to give it a thought?
Yeah, I've already been giving it a thought. I've been thinking about it for a couple days. I almost took all the stuff from my brother, but I didn't.
But you didn't yet.
I just took the stuff for Teamer Emerge, which is a deck that I am considering playing.
You love Elder Deep Fiend. You really do.
I do love Elder Deep Fiend, but what I really love is I like to play Kozilek's Return when Kozilek's Return is good. When Kozilek's Return is good, the card is great. It dominates formats.
Sure.
When it's bad, it's like a negligible card, and people forget it's in the format.
Sure.
But... like, if we go back quickly and look at the top 4 decks, just go to the main page.
Yeah, I got you.
Think about a flashback Kozilek's Return against each of these decks, and think about how devastating it is most of the time.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty prevalent about all the decks except for maybe Mardu Vehicles because of Heart and the Planeswalker plan. It's not as good, but still pretty good. And Teamer Energy, it just depends on what creatures they have in play. But yeah,
well, Teamer Energy, I don't think they have a single thing bigger than 5 toughness. They need 9 energy and a Hydra to have 5 toughness.
They can get Cub big enough too.
They can get Cub big enough too, but a lot of them are cutting Cub for Channeler Initiate.
Okay.
And plus, on the play, you just you can kill maybe a Cub and a Refiner with it. So that's probably unlikely, but it's just like the front half of it is like passable. Okay. And I think a card that's really good against Teamer Energy is Primal Druid. It blocks really well and accelerates you. So I like that card as well.
Any copies of Reduced to Rubble?
No Reduced to Rubble this time.
We got Mikey Boy in the chat here, the Snap Sniper.
Biaggi, can you find the Teamer Emerge deck from Japan and put it somewhere? I'm curious about it. If you can put it in the chat or whatever. I know that you know how to navigate the internet much better than I do. So if you can find it, throw it in the chat. You'll probably get banned for spamming, and that's fine. Yeah, oh, yeah, he posted a link. Haha.
Yeah, you got banned.
That's pretty funny. Let him link. Let him do it. Japanese decks are sweet.
Yeah, you love them because they're tempo oriented.
Well, they just build decks so much better than Americans do. Americans are just like mopey. What do we got here?
All right, we're in.
Let's see.
We did it. Hopefully.
Is there Honored Hydra in this deck? Because I'm about it.
All right, here you go. So, this deck's interesting. We've got...
How many people were in this tournament? Does it say?
I don't think so. I can scroll down, but no, doesn't say.
Oh, this is it, right?
Yeah. 245 participants.
So he lost in the finals.
Yeah.
That's good.
Grapple with the Past is another card that I've seen, pick up online. And not only this deck, but black-green, a card that kind of went away a little bit.
Slide down this a little bit. Sorry.
All right.
Date 2017, 6/25. Go down again. Sorry, I'm annoying you.
Yeah.
Oh, so he won this tournament, and he beat Yuta Takahashi in the finals.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. All right, let's talk about this. So what do we like here?
So the first thing that I like is Glorybringer. I think it's awesome. One of my favorite cards.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that they're not just running a Slam Dunk 4 is fine because we have 4 Traverses. So, having the one of Worldbreaker, the one of Ishkana. I really like Traverse right now in Standard.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you can support the Delirium package, I think it mitigates having a ton of lands and, flooding out. So when your deck can afford to consistently have enough green sources to play it on turn 1, I think a lot of decks now are going to move away from Attune, and I think it's somewhere where you really want to be.
The numbers in this are weird. This is like a totally a Japanese deck, in that the numbers are either all 4 ofs or just bizarre, and I can't figure out why they're the way they are.
Sure.
And that's what this deck is.
So tell me something.
Yeah.
Why are people still running Confiscation Coup when Marvel left? So there's no Marvel, there's no Ulamog, and to me, isn't just Burrell's expertise just way better?
They want to take one big creature, I guess.
Yeah, but
people talked to Strosky about this, and he wrote an article about Teamer Energy. And in the article, he talked about it, and he had a pretty good... he just said that he thought Confiscation Coup is better in the mirror. That expertise, they're both kind of weak to Blossoming Defense, but less Blossoming Defenses means that, Confiscation Coup gives you a huge creature. Oh, and the reason why he liked it the most is because it takes their boat.
Takes their boat. Okay.
And the breaker for the Teamer Energy mirror is boat.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's the main reason why. I just sounded like a death metal singer. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to Siege Runner either. It's...
Dude, that's... Thanks a lot.
This daddy is gay.
Wyatt Plot, appreciate the follow. Thanks a lot.
That guy chained Pro Tours. I don't know. He's 20 years old, and he just played in 2 Pro Tours in a row or whatever. The dude who just followed us. He's a master.
You're just a statistician over here. You know way too much.
Yeah, you know that did I show you that picture? It's it's a dude in a Detroit Lions shirt, sitting on a bench listening to music, and it's just this giant monster with a Packers hat and a shirt on, and he's behind him, and then it's freeze frame, and he's closer to him, and he's closer to him again. It was the last 3 weeks of the season, Green Bay won and Detroit lost, and the last slide, the Packers guy is just he's just 4 times the size of the Lions guy, and he's just on his shoulder and the Lions guy, you see he's happy listening to music, and then he notices the Packers guy behind him, and he's a little stressed, but he's still listening to music. And the third slide, he's just visibly pouring sweat and freaking out, and the Packers guy is here, and there's just a superimposed image of Aaron Rodgers throwing a Hail Mary. It's the funniest thing ever. But the reason why I said that, I forget. Oh man, I forgot why I said that.
Delicious Waffles, we're moving on to it right now though. So yeah, this deck looks sweet. You're going to give this a look. I like Elder Deep Fiend. Works really well with the Servants and Refiners, getting the value and then tapping them down. Yeah. Having the ability to have Grapple with the Past, Traverse, to get the things back, to get the things out of your deck once you have Delirium. The numbers aren't perfect, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be. I like a lot of the one of some of the choices that are flexible. Cut to Ribbons is just one of the best cards in Standard that isn't a 4 of right now in decks, and I think it's fine to not be. All right. Thank you for sending us the link.
Yeah, that was a really cool deck. I think I'm going to play this deck at the Invitational.
That'd be sweet. All right, so Modern, we're not going to go too crazy into it. Most of the decks, we've kind of pumped everybody up for Vegas. Before that, we've been doing a lot of talks in Modern. The format has kind of stabilized at this point, I want to say. Grixis Death Shadow being still the number 1 deck, but with Eldrazi Tron, Affinity, Burn, Dredge, you see all the decks here. One of the emerging decks that we see is Budikov been doing really well with it online. A Russian player, Green-White Humans. It's a new version of the Coco deck, but a humans version.
It's actually 4-color humans, but yes, it's great. We were talking about this deck the other night, too.
So without giving a rundown of every single deck, what I'd kind of like to do right now is just talk about the decks that you want to prepare for, and maybe going into the Invitational, what decks that we should have maybe a few more cards in your sideboard that you wouldn't otherwise.
Well, I think that if you don't have a plan for Affinity, the Shadow decks presumably are most
Hey, appreciate
most
that.
notably the blue ones,
10-3-0.
Grixis and
Thanks for
Grixis
the follow.
Splash Path or Grixis Splash whatever. So those two decks and Eldrazi-Tron. Affinity, Eldrazi-Tron, Grixis Shadow. Those are the decks I would worry the most about. Make sure you have sideboard cards for Dredge. That splash damage will get Living End most of the time. I don't think Living End is very good. Burn, I think, is always going to be somewhat of a presence in the metagame, but never going to be like an overwhelming one unless people really forget about it. And as long as Death Shadow's a thing and like taking damage is still good or whatever, then Burn will be, just below tier 1, I think.
Okay.
People speak to that matchup in a lot of different ways. Like people are like, "Oh, I'm so good against Death Shadow with Burn," but like you're just flipping a coin, right? Like
it's close. I think that the Burn player is favored, but it's not by much.
Yeah.
And it really depends on their sideboard plan and how that reacts to what Grixis Death Shadow is trying to do.
Burn isn't even good against Shadow.
Thanks a lot for the follow. Really appreciate it.
The ridiculous tangent I went on before had a point, but I just forgot what the point was, and I'm so sorry.
Yeah, if you find
it was really funny and great, and I wish I could remember, but
oh, well, maybe we'll come back to it. So I agree with pretty much what you said. I think one of the decks in particular is Affinity. It's a deck that did really well in Vegas, and thanks a lot for the follow. We got another follow. Get in there.
Yeah, that's great.
Thanks again. But yeah, it's a deck that like people saw how well it did in the top 8, but like going down through the top 32 deck lists, it had about 8 to 10. I'm not sure the exact number of decks in there, and it's just been a resurgence because Affinity's always been the check. Like it's Modern's check deck.
Affinity is the idiot test, if you will.
Okay.
It's like, hey. Y'all forgot about Daddy.
Yeah, they'll forgot about Dre.
Exactly, and it's just like...
And I think it has a good Death Shadow matchup.
It's just like, hey, y'all forget about Edge Champion, and then Edge Champion's like...
I'm going to kill you.
Excuse me.
I'm going to kill you.
About me? And it's like this SpongeBob meme. Just a SpongeBob with a chicken beak on or whatever.
Oh, no.
It's like, Edge Champion, you forget about Edge Champion.
I don't know what you're doing, but...
I'm on fire today. I'm having a good time.
I can't reference it because I don't watch that much SpongeBob. But that sounds like it would be fun.
It's not actually SpongeBob. It's just a stupid internet thing. It's like SpongeBob's face with like a chicken beak and like its arms tied behind its back, and it's just like when you say something, the person responds with this, like if you're like Etch Champion, then the person responds to you with this meme, and it's the SpongeBob picture with a beak, and it says Etch Champion. It's just so stupid. It's
Maybe
so
you
stupid.
need to do that for Halloween.
But it's really funny.
It's
really funny. You have to understand the context, and you would be thoroughly enjoying this. It's just
so not only is Affinity a good deck, but I think it has a good Grixis Death Shadow matchup, and I think with Grixis and Eldrazi-Tron, kind of like having a surge, if you will, people have like moved away. They're like, I need Rest in Peace. Maybe I don't need that extra Stony Silence. And Edge Champion is
I'm sorry, look at the
just
chat.
so powerful.
That's exactly how it's typed. Edge Champion with like the alternating lower, and that's the meme. He knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
it's great. It's great. But
so Affinity hate. We want Artifact hate. We want Graveyard hate. Is there any other hate we want?
some sort of like sweeper.
Okay. So anger.
I like anger because it splashes over into dredge, and it's also good against the company decks.
Okay.
So yeah, I like anger for that reason. I think that something like Kozilek's Return, being able to kill Edge Champion, is something that you should take into account. I mean, Brad Nelson played that in Grixis Shadow for a while.
Instant speed's cool too. Like they go to activate their lands and stuff, and you're just like, if you don't have a Ravager, like there goes your team.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna kill most of their stuff anyway. But again, it's not very good against Dredge or can be worse against the company decks. But it's still usually going to get them. But I just don't want to. I just don't want to take Kitchen Finks and Voice and just get them out of there like right away. I'm playing Jeskai, which is like a bit mopier and like will actually lose to like a 2/1 Kitchen Finks and a Voice token or whatever. But I don't know. Supreme Verdict is worth considering. I might play a couple of those this weekend.
Yeah, we don't see any of the control decks here on the top page, but I have been
doing well.
I have been playing a decent amount of them online, and like here you go. You see blue-white control here, the latest 5-0, and I guess
blue-white control is a bad deck. I'm sorry.
You're just not a fan. You're not having it.
No, I don't like it.
I think it's like.
See if we can find a Jeskai deck.
No, we're not going over a Jeskai deck.
Scroll down a little bit.
No Jeskai deck. So other than Jeskai deck. Other than your Jeskai deck, what deck do you think is going to have way more numbers at this tournament than normally would?
I'll tell you.
Tell me something.
Oh, way more numbers than normally would? That's not the question I was prepared to answer, but
okay.
I will answer it.
All right.
The answer to that is Living End is a good candidate. But what would have way more numbers at an invitational? Something like Abzan.
You really think Abzan
will have like slightly inflated numbers at a tournament like this because people really like rock decks?
We're talking 600 players, right? That's what
about
this invitational is going to be. Like a small open.
Yeah, like a small open, but it's 16 rounds in 2 days, so it's a little different.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's either a small open or a big pro tour.
Dude, this is like my pro tour. They took away
yours too. It's mine.
They took away like
it's my shot.
They took away my like end of the year tournament, which made me sad. But
they did.
So but the question that I was like, what decks are well positioned? Like what?
We
decks,
can do that too.
I think that there's 2 decks that I would play this weekend, depending on play style.
You or just should be played in general, should be considered?
Well, I'm playing a Mopey Jeskai deck, so I'm obviously not correct.
Okay.
But I'm still just going to body people because I'm really good.
How many Dispels you playing?
How many what?
Dispels in your 75?
1 in the sideboard.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think any of these 3 decks across the top here and this deck, these 4 decks, are a fine choice if you don't know what to play. The 2 decks that I would look to, because they're very well positioned against these decks and are objectively powerful, is this deck right here.
Titan Shift. This is a favorite of yours.
Red-Green Scape Shift. I really like this deck. I think it's underrated. It's not good against Grixis Death Shadow. It's like 35% or something like that, which is very bad. But it's very good against Affinity. It's very good against Dredge. It's very good against Eldrazi-Tron. It's a ludicrous percent. It's like 91% against Eldrazi-Tron or something like that. These are all notes from the machine. This is one of like 4 decks with a pro 50% win percentage.
Okay.
Versus the modern field. And the data is pretty antiquated, like it goes back a couple of years, but it also has all the recent data in it too. So it's not that skewed. But this deck is sweet. I like this deck. I like the Sweltering Suns Anger split. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that, and I was like, you know what? Sometimes you just need to cycle a card. What do you think about the 1 Prismatic Omen?
It's fine.
I got bodied by Joe Demestrio back in the day in his Scape Shift deck.
That was like Blue Shift. That deck was sweet. Yeah, I wouldn't play that deck now because it's just too slow and bad. But I love that.
Thanks a lot for the follow.
Bro Montana is a cool name.
Yeah, that is.
And the chat's talking about Disdainful Stroke. I just played Ceremonious Rejection. I think that's probably better. Most of the things that want to play huge things are doing huge colorless things. I also have Cryptics and Logic Knots for like a deck like this or whatever. But I think this is a fine deck choice. I might audible to this deck. It depends on how good I think my standard deck is. The tournament's in like 3 days or 2 days. I have no idea what I'm playing. It's funny. Happens all the time. And the other deck is much less played, much less visible. And it's a deck that the machine, for those of you who know what that is, constantly mocks. Every single like data distribution of the modern format, this deck is at the bottom. At the bottom, over and over and over. Everyone said, this deck sucks. It's terrible. It's
Let me
unplayable.
guess.
It's unplayable. You know what it is?
Is it Soul Sisters?
No.
Okay.
It is a similar deck. It plays a lot of small creatures.
Okay.
It is elves.
Elves. Okay.
It's the machine believes that it is the best deck in Modern right now. Its percentage against the field is
Thanks a lot for the follow.
55% against the field. It's the best shell for the Vizier Druid combo, as it's pretty easy to just put it in there, and you still have this elf deck that does all the elf things, but can randomly kill someone or gain infinite life or whatever.
Sure.
So,
no, I actually agree with you for once. I think it's a deck here that our buddy Aiden, one of the locals, he plays, and it's a deck that we've seen win an Invitational before with Liam Lonergan. And it's just a very powerful deck. Or excuse me, he won the Grand Prix, not Invitational.
No, he won the Invitational.
Yeah, he won the Invitational.
And he brought his elf deck to the Players' Championship, but he ran into the daddy and had some trouble.
Everything comes back to the daddy. But yeah, I agree with you. I think Elves is a good...
It's not the worst Coco deck. The math, like the actual event results, at least the ones that have been entered, suggest that it's the best Coco deck.
Hey, thanks a lot,
What
Scott.
is the machine?
Appreciate the follow.
Do you want to know what the machine is?
The machine
I'll
is...
tell you what the machine is.
Uh-oh.
The machine is
The Matrix.
The
Magic Matrix.
constantly tabulated or constantly evolving tabulating of results. The machine is a shadowy figure in a room, adding up data from events over and over and over, and putting it into spreadsheets and then putting the spreadsheets into this distribution of all the decks so that you can figure out the most optimal deck in the format. And the machine has matchup percentages against every single deck. What does that mean? Data means kind of little, though. It literally means things. It's smart. It knows lots of things. It's the machine. All right, Searsist, you might be new. I don't know if you're new to the show. I think I've seen you in the chat
Definitely
before.
not new to the show.
Definitely not new to the show. You got to respect the machine, all right? Just trust me when I say the machine has won like 9.5 PPDQs. Like, it's unbeatable. The machine is never wrong.
9? What is it? How do you win a half a PPTQ?
I think I won the PDQ, but I didn't listen to the machine. So it's half a PDQ because I listen to the machine sometimes. Okay. I almost never listen to the machine.
Yeah, you like have the data, but then don't use it.
Navy J listens to the machine. And he's won multiple PDQs with the machine.
Okay.
One time the machine said Abzan Blue, and then Navy J played it and won a PDQ. It's happened before. The machine. Sweet.
What's going on, Epic Fab? All right, so this machine...
What is the machine's price? The machine cannot be bought.
All right, we're going to put this on hold because I want to have the machine's maker. I want to have Derek on the show one time. So we'll have Derek come on maybe and talk about the machine.
Work, but the machine is great.
Maybe we'll Skype him in or something. Mm-hmm. We'll figure it out. All right, so with that, I think we've did a pretty good job at preparing everyone for the Invitational. Make sure you have some...
That's the other machine? Do you know that story?
Are we talking about the Enigma machine?
No, you know who Bert Kreischer is, the comedian?
I don't.
There's this story he tells, it's a stand-up story about going on like a foreign exchange trip to Russia when he was in college.
Okay.
And just like not knowing how to speak Russian. So just like drinking a lot of vodka and the only thing he knew how to say was like, I am the machine.
Oh, I know what you're talking. Yeah.
So he was like,
I am the machine.
Being like guarded by the Russian mafia, and he just like didn't know how to say anything in Russian, so he just like pounded vodka and was like, I am the machine. And they like went nuts, and he was like their favorite person for the rest of the trip. It's an insane story. It's really, really funny.
Yes, I will.
If you have some time, you should watch it.
And getting 9th place according to Capo, which Andrea, I gotta say 9th place. It's not necessarily what you want.
I'd take 9th place.
But 9th place is pretty good.
But I'll tell you what, I'm coming. I'm coming for the top 8 this time.
I'm coming. I've been putting some work
Last
in.
Invitational I played in, you know what my record was? 12-4. You know what it was at one point? Like 10-2.
Jeez.
And I just choked. And I was 10-2. You know what happened? I played against Joe Bernal, and I was playing like the Esper Flash deck, the Esper aggro deck. He had 4 main deck deadweights, and he crushed me.
Whew.
And then I played
dead weight.
Yeah, he was black-green Delirium with 4 main deck deadweights. And then I played the next round. So I think that gave me 2 losses. And I played Modern. And Modern I played against Dredge. And we know how that went. I got crushed. And then I played against Todd Stevens. And we all know how that goes. I got crushed. And the last 2 rounds were against... I I don't really remember. Oh, one was Jund and one was something else. But I won those fairly easily, and I got 12 and 4.
All right.
Not that bad.
Not at all. All right. Well, let's move on to our final hour. Since next week, you've already said, is Hour of Devastation. It seems like it came real quick, huh?
Yeah.
Hour of Devastation. We're here. We're in the final
I don't
hour.
really care about this set.
Okay.
I'm sorry, that's
I
an
think-
aggressive opinion.
Yeah,
but
no,
it just seems underwhelming.
I've heard a lot of people say that.
And they're just kind of I don't know,
But I'm
wrecking Standard, and it makes me sad.
See, I don't know if they're wrecking Standard, and we'll have to give it some time to see when battle rotates. But I think it is nice to see the power level come down a little bit.
If someone gave you, now we can't bet on Magic because it's like Pete Rose-esque, Shield
Sure.
Jackson-esque.
Correct.
But hypothetically, if someone gave you even money on, will a card from Hour of Devastation be banned in Standard? What side of the line would you take?
At this point, after looking at the spoiler, I would be on the side that says there's not going to be a card that
I don't
gets
even
banned.
care if the card's good or not. I would always take the ban side.
Really?
Yep.
You think what's going to happen is just someone's going to
I think a
complain?
card will be banned in. I think a card will be banned in almost every set. I think at least two cards will be banned in Standard in the next calendar year.
Really?
And it'll happen every year until they fix the problem. Until the paradigm shifts. I think the same thing is going to happen every time. I think Marvel is a mistake. I don't think Reflector Mage was a mistake. I don't even think Smuggler's Copter was a mistake. I think Emrakul was probably a mistake. Felidar Guardian was
A good mistake,
probably
though.
a mistake. But these were mistakes you needed to learn. Who
Yeah.
is called Drama Queen? Daddy's right here. Excuse you.
Ooh, you
But,
got the daddy dab. You got him worked up now.
I think that the issue is not. It's not even the people so much. The people are a little bit complaint happy.
See,
But the real issue here is that the
daddy queen.
information spreads so fast that when people find the best deck and don't know what else to play, they just play the best deck, and then you end up with 60% of the tournament in an open or whatever playing the best deck, and this is just gonna happen all the time.
yeah.
It's just a problem, and it doesn't even matter if the cards are good in a vacuum. I don't know what one of these cards is going to... I don't even think any of these cards are going to get banned, probably, but they could. And, this card could certainly get banned. I mean, maybe not that card because it's kind of vanilla, but this card could. What is that?
Shuffle your library, then exile the top 4 cards. You may cast a number of non-land cards with them converted mana cost 5 or less among them. Play without their mana cost, and then your lands on top. Another one of these. Put the
So it's
cards back in your
Mind's
deck.
Desire?
I'd say, what is it? Not Thieves Auction. I don't, kind of Mind's Desire-esque, but 5 or less, limiting ability, and then it's the top 4 cards for 6 mana. You could just hit 3 lands. This seems like a bad version of Combustible Gearhulk.
I don't know. It's
You don't
weird.
get to play them, but
I
it
can't wait to
feels
see
like
the
that.
blue one.
It's kind of crazy.
I think Standard is broken forever until they fix it.
Forever.
I think the format is fundamentally flawed. It is shattered. Secondary tournament organizers such as SCG are moving away from having to focus Standard outside of the first weekend. And I think that Standard was better when Jace the Mind Sculptor and Stoneforge Mystic were legal than it is now.
Okay. It's pretty bold.
And it's sad for me to say this because I generally enjoy Standard. And I like Magic enough that I'll play Standard. Why? There's
just
so
wanna
many
bring-
good cards and you click on this one.
I just want to bring this card up because I think this... You don't give me a second, Kevin. You gotta give me a sec. You're talking about cards that want to get banned. I think this is one that might be on the watch list. So, we talked about this being good with Dark Depths. Mm-hmm. Not only is it good with Dark Depths, but think about what you can do with this with Thing and Ice. Just comes into play, no counters, right? So it flips automatically.
But you're playing a 3-mana do nothing. No, it doesn't flip automatic.
It doesn't flip
It
automatically?
flips on the first spell you cast.
Okay.
Which is a 3-card combo, whereas Thing in the Ice with 4 spells to flip it is a 5-card combo. But that combo is much more likely to have cards that both keep you alive and replace themselves. So it's a little bit less than a 5-card combo.
So I have a question for you. In Modern, how easy is it to get rid of an enchantment? Like most tier 1 decks, how hard is it for them to get rid of a resolved enchantment?
I mean, a 3 mana or less enchantment?
Yeah. I mean, Abrupt Decay is falling out of favor.
Moderately difficult. Green-black decks have Abrupt Decay. Eldrazi Tron has All is Dust. The blue decks have Stubborn Denial or other counter spells.
So they can get rid of it, but it's not...
And,
it's tough once it resolves, is that what you're saying?
That's like it, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I do know Glacial Chasm works with as well, but that's Legacy. That's kind of like they're not going to do anything. But what do you think about this card with Phyrexian Unlife?
Okay, so you just can never die?
Yeah.
So you're just like Mopey 3-mana enchantment, next turn Mopey 3-mana enchantment?
Yeah.
Like that's your plan?
I don't know. But what about there's the white-red prison deck that we saw come doing well in Modern for a while.
If that deck resolves multiple sorcery speed haymakers, it wins. Like, it already does. It goes Bridge Nahiri or Bridge Chandra, and then it wins the game.
I'm not saying it's going to be the bee's knees. I'm just saying, this is a card that you can watch out for being what you're talking about, a bannable card.
Yeah, but this card sucks. So that's the thing.
Yes, we post on YouTube, and we're also on KerwinsGameStore.com.
This could certainly be a bannable card. But if it's a bannable card, we just have a really weird isolated problem.
Okay.
Banning a card like that is not a problem. Like, banning a card that just is a random glitch in the machine, it's like, oh man, now my opponent can never die. Okay. Oops, we messed up, we have to fix it. That's not really a problem. What's a problem is just a constant stream of overpowered cards that just push people to playing, all playing the same deck.
Okay.
You know what's a problem? Something ridiculous like Aetherworks Marvel. Aetherworks Marvel is not a quirky, weird card.
Do I get
it's like a broken value machine.
Is this the time where you're actually going to give me credit for calling that card out when I first saw that card on Spoilers and I said this is the most broken card in the set?
Well, sure. You did do that.
This did happen
and
when
then
the set came out.
you played an entire standard format with the card and did your best to lose when you could have played good versions of the deck.
That's not true.
You just played a suboptimal Marvel deck every single time you played a Marvel deck. I don't know if we should even talk about this because I don't want to
talk about this.
Hurt your feelings.
Because I called it when that card came out. I said this was the most broken thing in the set, and I knew that it was going to get banned at some point. Well, I don't want to say I knew it was going to get banned, but I thought it would be in the discussion to get banned because that's how powerful it was. And your opinion of my deck choices is fine, and you're warranted to have that. But I think I was one win away from maybe taking the trophy from you in Montreal. Because I would have been in there, and it would have been hard for the daddy to beat up.
It would have been a real
Spell Queller.
Testament to your skill if that unplayable monstrosity cracked the elimination rounds.
Thanks, Man Matter.
The reason why you did not crack the elimination rounds is because you played against a good version of Marvel with your sideboard plan.
Well, that's not necessarily true, but
it's close enough to true.
Well, drawing 8 lands for your first 8...
We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, sure. Or we could talk about how your opponent didn't play a third land in the finals.
Dan Fournier's deck was a better version of your deck for that weekend.
I don't agree. I don't agree.
But that's fine.
Yeah.
But yes, poor Paul Dean. He did not play a third
How did this
land.
become like a thing versus me and you?
We're not even trying to swing.
I know.
It's not a posturing contest. I'm not even trying to come at you. But you were like,
you
hey,
said literally
are you giving me respect for calling out the most broken card?
Because you never.
And I'm like,
I'm
giving you respect for calling it broken, but I don't understand why you tried to lose for a year.
I didn't.
I didn't play Marvel until I was supposed to. You didn't win a lot.
Yeah, I did.
You didn't win at all. You drew all the time.
What?
You know what Aetherworks Marvel did for you? You fell off the Pro Tour. You were on the Pro Tour until you started playing Marvel in every format, and then you fell off the Pro Tour.
In every format? What do you mean? I didn't play it in Modern or
Legacy.
Legacy.
Every standard format that shifted throughout the year, you still played it.
And it's good. It was good, and I did well at all the formats. I'm not taking it, Man Matter. He's trying to throw shade right now, man. It's not cool. It's not cool. He doesn't know.
This is Dan is my dude. We're buddies. We do this shit. Or we do this show together every week, and I'm just saying,
You could say, but I mean,
he can throw all the shade he wants. He's played in 6
He's talking about you throwing
Pro Tours. He's saying I'm throwing shade.
Yeah.
I'm saying, and you can throw it back. It's fine. That's part of the dynamic. I'm cool with it. But I don't know.
Listen, you can have your opinion. Everyone has their opinion, and I know I'm the one that plays the decks. I'm the one that picks these decks, and Mike Durzo once said, sometimes you just got to dance with the girl that you brought to the dance.
Yeah.
And like I've had a lot of success in Magic the Gathering and in the tournaments that I've like top 8'd.
Certainly a premier.
And I've
Magic
all
Gathering
done
player.
it Frank Sinatra my way.
Yeah.
And
Frank Sinatra. You don't mean Frank Sinatra. You mean my way or the highway.
Oh no, I'm not talking about that. And so yeah, Durzo, you're out here. And so I'm just gonna let you know a little stay in your lane, Kevin.
Yeah.
Do your Jess guy things, and I'll do my things. All right, so
wait, what just happened here? Nightbot timed out man matter. Reason blacklisted spam. Nightbot always be patrolling the world.
Gas. I danced with all the girls you brought.
I did not bring a date to my senior prom, and I danced with someone else's girlfriend.
Holy cow, that's great.
It was. I didn't do it in like a malicious steal your girl kind of way. I did it in a
I'm a Mr. Steal Your
Edwin
Girl.
McCain I'll Be is one of my favorite songs
That
it was
is.
on, so I just grabbed the nearest lady I could find, and she was happy enough to give me a memory or whatever you want to call it. But
well, you should be happy then because now that Marvel's gone, I'm
going to
going to win the Invitational.
Going to senior prom stag is really depressing.
Yeah.
And to be fair, that was 11 years ago, or 12 years ago, but
That's hilarious. Do you know how hard it is to win a Grand Prix? Probably not.
I don't even know how hard it is. Yeah. I just got lucky. It wasn't very hard.
Yeah, I don't think you got lucky, but
I got lucky in
very hard.
A few spots.
All right, so this creature I wanted to talk about. When it got spoiled, I just kept people on Twitter going, "Oh, this creature! I like this creature! I like this creature." What do you think of this creature? 5/5 for 3 mana.
Sorry, this chat is really good today.
Yeah.
What do I think about
the
this
chat
card?
is not very good today. The chat is attacking me.
The chat is attacking me, too.
You threw the fire. You started the fire, and now I'm getting attacked. I love you, chat. Keep attacking. Continue.
What do I think about this card?
What do you think about this card?
It's fine. So whenever it becomes blocked, is that what Afflict does? Whenever it becomes blocked, they lose 3 life?
Okay.
That's what it does, right?
Whenever deals combat damage to player, remove all the counters. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, put a -1.
What does Afflict do?
I don't know. What does Afflict do?
Is it when it's blocked, or is it when it deals damage? Because if it's a 3 mana 8/8, it's certainly good.
It's not an 8/8. We tried to fight it, but we didn't light it.
If it's a 3 mana 5/5 that deals them 3 damage when it gets blocked, it's kind of cool.
Blocks trigger.
Yes, this card is solid. It's not a 3 mana 8/8. A 3 mana 8/8 would be good. This is
here just in 3 mana 8/8s are good. Kevin Jones
confirmed. Daddy knows things.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that this card is fine. It's
but
kind
back
of
to
an
Marvel.
Interesting spot. This is an interesting spot for a card to be, right? Because this card is kind of vanilla.
Yeah.
Like it's just kind of a creature.
Wouldn't it be chocolate?
3. No, I mean vanilla in that it has minimal abilities.
Oh, okay.
So like, even if it hits them for probably like 3. For 4 the first time, and then 3 the second time or whatever.
Sure.
And like then it goes back to being 5, and then they play a spell, maybe 2, and then it hits them for 3, and eventually it gets blocked, and they take 3. So it probably does like 12 damage a lot of the time.
This card's going to be really annoying to play against. There's
it doesn't
gonna
have
be counters
life,
all over the place, right? It's going to be like take a counter off, put a counter on, remove all the counters, counter.
2 and a white players can't get counters, right?
It's everything.
Everything can't get counters?
Yeah. Counters can't be put on that.
All right, so we just have a 3 mana 5/5. 3 mana 8/8 confirmed. Is this card good? Let's talk about this card.
Oh my god.
That card is certainly interesting, right? It's It's one of the most intelligently designed cards in the set. So like, certainly I want to talk about this card.
Sure.
And certainly like, it's a little pushed, right?
And certainly it's right in your window.
Like, do you think this card is pushed? Do you think this card is average?
I think it's pushed, but I think it's too expensive. And I'm not saying
it's not pushed hard enough, right?
I'm saying if it was 1 in a blue, it would be. It might be too good. And 1 blue is obviously way too good. But the fact, like 3/1 flyer, flash, you know, that's just fine, right? It's like, think about Even Mind Sensor, you know. When Even Mind Sensor is good, it's just a fine card, and then when it sometimes gets a couple lands, like right now, you know, Evolving Wilds, Traverse are like the only things people are really doing to search their deck. Mm-hmm. So it's not really a good card, but like this has early game, late game, lots of potential. Being
like,
able
what
to...
if they just plus Gideon and you just stifle it?
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
I mean, it's cool.
You know what
would
would be real great? If you played like turn 2 Heart of Kieran, turn 1 Toolcraft Exemplar.
Okay.
And then they played Aetherworks Marvel and you did this when they tried to activate it. And they were like, Marvel and Duel Money. You're like, nope, stifle it. If this card had the cycle to do it, or did it when it came into play,
yes, then it would
be insane.
Yeah, it would be too good.
I don't know why it doesn't do that.
What do you mean? It would have to be 4 mana.
No, it would be fine.
It would be like having a different, like, it's not Vendilion Click,
it's not
but it would
the
have a
end of the world.
Vendilion Click feel.
Yeah.
And that's like
I don't
way
think
too
Vendilion
powerful.
Click is broken.
I don't think it's broken, but it's powerful for Standard.
It was in Standard at one point. It was totally fine.
I know it was in Standard.
It was totally fine in Standard.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, Vendilion Click is an eternal staple.
You're making your argument. Okay.
One of the best creatures ever printed. But it's probably top 10 best creatures ever printed. But
Top
Vendilion
10.
Click still is a fair Magic card. Like, you're committing, it only has 1 toughness. Like, it takes 3 mana. It can be countered itself. It can be killed. Sometimes they have redundancy in their deck, and the Thoughtseize effect doesn't hurt them that much. Like, there's a lot of mitigation to Vendilion Click. Like, even if this thing came into play and stifled something, it wouldn't be broken. It would be awesome.
It depends. It would have been cool if you could stifle an Aetherworks Marvel trigger.
Yeah, I mean, what? You're right.
What is going on, though? Think about this. Smuggler's Copter, they ban it. Then Manglehorn, all these artifact removals, Dissenter's Deliverance comes in. Marvel's broken. It's like a wave of doing broken things, and then by the time, like, the people that are here to fix it, it reminds me of, like, a war. Like, you have these soldiers that are fighting, and they need, like, food and supplies, and, like, the supplies come after, like, the war's over. Like, oh, the guy's died already, now this food and stuff's here. And that keeps happening. Like, this is a card that I think would be good.
Someone in the chat said, I said Vendilion Click might be top 10 best creatures ever. And
Okay.
they said top 10. I'd love to hear your top 10. I don't know if they're being sarcastic and they don't believe me.
No, that'd
or
be
what.
great.
Do you want me to run it
Let's do that for next week.
next week? You want to do it?
Yeah, let's do top 10
top
creatures.
10 creatures of all time. We'll do it next
Look
week.
at that. Static Gripped, we got you. Top 10 creatures. See? A little interaction here in the chat. Boom.
Yeah, yeah. Do you
All
think
right.
this card is better than Aven Mind Sensor?
Right now in Standard, 100%.
Okay.
100%. If fetches were in Standard, that may change my opinion.
I mean, if you tag an Evolving Wilds with this, are you even happy? And, like, what's better?
I mean, I'm not
cycling
happy.
your opponent's cycling to stifle your opponent's
Listen,
Rogue Refiner trigger, or to actually
when
have a
you
3/1
put this
play?
card in your deck, I think that's exactly the thing you want to be doing. So even if, like, you lose the game, you still, like, feel a sense of, like, you got your opponent because you got him. You got that Evolving Wilds.
Mm-hmm.
Like that Shadow of Doubt, like that Grixis one of Shadow of Doubt, and you're on the play and you just, like, turn 1 Serum Visions, turn 2 hold up 2 mana, and your opponent's like, end of turn, crack fetch, and you're just like, got him.
Yeah.
There's nothing like that.
I think it's fine that it cycles for 3 because it costs 3, so it doesn't actually cycle. Like the cycling cost is not actually like exclusionary or inhibiting, because it's the same mana you're leaving up to cast it anyway, so you get to choose exactly how to spend that mana. I think that 3/1 Flash Flying is a great stat for a tempo-based deck, and I think that a lot of times, if they don't do something that's really, really worth stifling, you're just going to jam this into play and attack them with it.
Yeah.
And that's a fine place to be.
Yeah, it also fits really well into the New Perspectives deck, maybe in the sideboard if there's something they want to stifle.
I think that this is a card that you would put in a Spell Queller deck too.
Okay.
So, like, the fact that these cards overlap on mana cost means that, like, instead of having to run out naked Spell Quellers at the end of your turn, you can run out naked ones of this, and then you have Spell Queller to protect this. And like, it doesn't actually get pushed. It still costs 2 to Harness Lightning it. It gets pushed sometimes, but not always, you know? It still costs 2 to Harness Lightning it. Sure, it gets Magma Sprayed, but, like, you don't see people running around with a ton of Magma Sprays in their main deck anyway. Like, I'm not really worried about that. I think that this card is completely playable and good.
Yeah, no, I do. I agree with
I also don't think you could just put it in, Team or Energy and call it a day. Like, that's not what you're doing with it. Although maybe you do. Like maybe you play 2 of it because it cycles, whatever. But generally I think this would be a card for a focused tempo strategy like a blue-white X deck. And you know, I think that's basically all I have to say about that one. All
right.
You have anything left to do?
Yeah, let's send everybody on their way.
Viewers.
Yeah, we're kicking butt. We're gonna do the top 10 next week, so we're gonna ride out. We went over a couple cards. We did the invitational testing. We gave our due respect to Peach Garden Oath.
KerwinsGameStore.com is the online source for your gaming needs. We stock sealed products and card singles from Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Weiss Schwartz. We also carry singles for HeroClix and Star Wars Destiny. With our free economy shipping on all orders and responsive customer service, you get more of the games you want hassle-free. Shop KerwinsGameStore.com today and see why we are the best place in gaming.